Welcome to SuperTalk Outdoors. Hope you're having a great day as we continue to celebrate the world-class outdoors of the state of Mississippi at lunchtime every single week because we're the capital of the outdoors in America. I want to thank you for joining us on the powerful SuperTalk Mississippi Radio Network. We've got a great show today. In the first half of the show, we're going to be joined by someone who's been on the show before. I'm going to continue to keep a little bit more focused on law enforcement at the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. So Major Chris Clark is going to be joining us in the second half of the show. Jim McCafferty is going to come back on the show. He's written some books about, some really great books about hunting. We'll tell you more about that in the second half. But before we go to my first guest, I just want to mention that we went offshore this weekend. My son Jordan and my friend Terry and I went offshore this weekend, and we found some beautiful water, man. It was, we were in 70 feet of water and we found some blue water. It was absolutely gorgeous. I texted my son Jordan this morning. He says he couldn't quit thinking about the water. He dove a couple of structures, and he said, man, the visibility, I didn't bring my stuff. I wish I had. The visibility was just absolutely beautiful. I mean, you could see forever. And it gets like that this time of year. And we went out thinking we might be able to find some mahi-mahi. And it was a little bit slow at first. And in fact, here's the thing. We caught before we left the house, we caught a couple of really big mullet, one really huge mullet, and then some other live bait. And I had the biggest mullet on a balloon line, pretty far out from the boat. And Terry said, "Oh my gosh, there's a mahi-mahi," and he said, "I saw it flash." And I'm like, I'm thinking maybe he's seeing things because that mullet's too big for a mahi-mahi to get it. And I saw a swirl. I said, "I'll be darned, something's after it." And then suddenly, the mahi-mahi just engulfs that large mullet, and the most beautiful jump you've ever seen in your life happens. By now I've got the rod in my hand, and this moment I got the rod in my hand and we use circle hooks, so I didn't have the have to set the hook, so to speak. But as I was beginning to just kind of assess the situation, the mahi-mahi comes up and tail walks on top of the water for maybe 15 or 20 yards. Like it was like a sailfish would do. It was the most beautiful sight you've ever seen in your life. Jordan had just stuck a mangrove with his spear, and we got it in the boat. And he said, "What you got?" I said, "It's a mahi-mahi, man. I mean, I tell you what, we better untie from the rig and move out and see what the situation is." It was a great fight, beautiful fish. When you bring a mahi-mahi out of the water, the colors are just incredible. And in fact, I'll post a picture at the SuperTalk Outdoors Facebook page if you want to go take a look at it. But it was a beautiful trip. I mean, the water clarity in and of itself was enough to make you want to go back. But it was, that's the way it is. Late September, October, we start seeing mahi-mahi come in. We see that beautiful clear water start to come in. And just another great reminder that fishing off of Mississippi, the access to so much incredible fisheries, that's one of the reasons I call this the capital of the outdoors in America. For sure. What a great reminder. And when we got back, my wife Ann said, "Okay, y'all are not spoiled much. Going out there and doing that today, and then next weekend you're going to get ready for deer hunting." Thank God she supports us. And she really does. Thank God for that. Okay, let's shift gears and move over to Major Chris Clark. He's the law enforcement manager for the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. Got a long list of bullet items we're going to go through, especially as deer season starts to approach. Chris, how you doing, my friend?
All right. How are you?
I'm good. So where are you sitting right now?
I'm actually in our headquarters in Jackson.
Okay, so let's, for people who didn't hear us the last time we talked, let's remind people what your area of responsibility is, and then, what you do this time of year.
Well, I'm over boating and hunter education as far as doing incident reports, as far as any of the investigations that we do if something happens, but as far as educating people and trying to get out there and do some public relations and stuff.
Well, very good, man. So as deer season approaches, of course, we had the velvet season. Bow season's about to start. I've had great conversations with William McKinley about, the harvest numbers. Everybody's got to play their part, and we've got a deer population problem, especially in certain parts of the season. CWD monitoring continues to go on. We've got, there's a lot to talk about. So as it relates to the deer season, what you got to say, Chris?
Well, the velvet season that we had, the little short velvet season, it was 246 that was reported. So I think that was pretty good. Last year harvest, as far as estimated, we don't have a hard number, but the estimated about 271,000. So we got plenty of animals and plenty of deer to harvest.
And it's true that when you have overpopulation, it creates all kinds of challenges, doesn't it?
It does. And more people try to plan or make food plots. They get to seeing more deer and more deer. They just need to try to take what they need to take off the property.
So as it relates to CWD monitoring, we've got to stay focused on that. I've said it many times. It's not going away. I think part of the challenge of CWD, chronic wasting disease, is that it's a very, very slow march across the landscape. And because of that, it's kind of hard for some people to get their head around it, but it's very real, and we have to pay attention to it, don't we?
Yes, sir. And we got 59 drop-off places across the state that you can check them in. You got about 92 taxidermists that's going through the program, and that's going to be in about 46 different counties in the state that you can drop it off there and get it taken care of.
Hey, listen, I had the conversation with Chris Reed about this a couple of weeks ago, but there was this fake post being shared. It looked like an official Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks post, where it said that, baiting was now going to be legal on public property at the wildlife management areas. That's not true.
No,
and one of the things we said, that if you want to know what's going on with regulation, you got to go to the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks website and look there. But some people may be acting on that news thinking that it's legal, and it's not. You can comment on that and let me know about any other new regulations that hunters need to know about.
Well, everything's pretty much the same. Nothing's really changed. Our season dates are pretty close to the same as last year's. The main thing is everybody understand that stuff like that pops up. Reach out to us here at the office. Look on the website. You can get all the information there.
Very good. Yeah. I mean, you cannot jump on something just because you saw it on social media. And where I saw it, Chris, it was being shared, people saying hallelujah, and then on various sites, and, people commenting saying, man, I can't wait to go, get me some corn and blah, blah, blah. But, boy, I would say in this case, hunter beware, be sure that if it's good, if you're in a position where you look at it and it seems a little too good to be true, it probably is. Go check for yourself, and you got to know the regulations. So what's the latest with what you're hearing about, as we get ready for the waterfowl season? What you hearing?
Well, it's still early to tell, but now the teal season we had, this early teal, it wasn't very good. There were some areas that had some good luck, and then some areas that didn't. It's just early to tell of what you're really going to get, and it's going to be how the weather hits up north and brings birds down.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Listen, when we come back on the other side, we're going to continue our conversation with Chris Clark. And one of the things I really kind of want to focus on is safety. I mean, as I often say on this show, and for people who are regular listeners, this, but it's even a good reminder for you, I might add, that some of the worst accidents happen to some of the most experienced hunters and fishermen, where they just kind of took things for granted and maybe dropped their guard for a second. As I often remind my sons when we're offshore or when we're hunting, the kind of outdoor enjoyment we do, we're going to be able to enjoy it for the rest of our lives as long as we don't drop the gun and drop our guard and realize, and continue to realize that, you often don't get a second chance in the outdoors. That's just a reality. If you go up a stand with a bad strap and you hadn't checked it yourself, or you forget to unload your gun, lay it in the back of your truck, and then it shifts in the truck and goes off, that happens more than you can realize. It's scary. It's scary what can happen. When we come back on the other side, we'll continue our conversation with Major Chris Clark. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to SuperTalk Outdoors. Listen, are you looking to purchase your perfect piece of hunting property, upgrade your farm equipment, or have you been dreaming of owning your slice of heaven out in the country? Don't we all? Man, look no further than Mississippi Land Bank for your financing needs. For more than 100 years, farming families and landowners in North Mississippi have turned to Mississippi Land Bank for all kinds of financial solutions, whether it's for land, equipment, or livestock. For more information, visit mslandbank.com or go by and see one of their friendly staff at any of their offices. I know they'd be thrilled to help you. Listen, we love having Mississippi Land Bank as a sponsor of Super Talk Outdoor, and we really, really appreciate it. Now let's get back over to Major Chris Clark. He's a law enforcement manager at the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. And when we went to break, we're talking about safety, and we're going to come back to that here in this segment. But before we do that, I wanted you to get to know Chris a little bit better. Hey, as we're approaching deer season, what does it mean for you, Chris? Personally, not as a law enforcement. Yeah.
Well, it means a lot. I got two sons, which they're grown men now, but that was one thing that I always look forward to this time of the year. We'd get out there and start checking food plots and trying to get everything ready, and then going around checking the stands. Just like you said before, a lot of times the stands been out there all year. They don't check the straps. The first thing they do is try to get in there and cut a few limbs back where you can see and not think about all the safety part of it. And it's just like anything else. It sits out there in the weather. It deteriorates, and you got to pay attention to it. If it's something that's built far as nails and screws, they gonna work out of stuff. Metal stands, they rust. I mean, there's so many things that you got to think about that you want to look forward to at the end of the day when you go out there on your hunting trip.
So you have your own hunting ground?
I have a couple little spots that I hunt with my sons. I go out of state every year for a few weeks to hunt, and then that's kind of my vacation and my hunting. And when I come back, I pretty much try to make sure they have opportunities. And I got a couple of grandchildren that's coming along one day that I can take them. So.
Yeah. How old are your grandkids?
I got one that's 2.5 and one that's 5 months old. So they got a ways to go.
Yeah, we're starting to bring one of. I've got four grandkids, and my older grandson is how old is he now? 7 or 8, and boy, he loves the hunting camp. And then Liam, my 4-year-old, we're bringing him out. We brought him up to the camp during the off season. He did really great. He just loved it up there. So we're looking forward to him, sitting in the stand with us, maybe going to tracking deer with us, starting to really kind of experience what the hunting camp life is all about. But boy, it's a great reminder when you're with your kids and your grandkids out at the hunting camp. It's a great reminder of why you're there. And as I often say on the show, it's not about the harvest, is it?
That's right. It's not as much about the harvest as making those memories and getting out there, just like you said, and maybe tracking a deer and them learning the woods and learning, not necessarily having to go sit in a box stand, but walking around in the woods, kind of seeing what nature is about and really enjoying it. Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. So we'll shift gears now and talk a little bit more about safety. You mentioned, one of the things you and your sons do is go check stands and whatever. We do that too. We go out. We have actually a team as we're planting. We'll put a team out there, and their goal is to go to every single stand. Now they're checking. They start with checking the stands. They're even that shooting houses. Incidentally, people will tend to take for granted that if you're in a shooting house that everything's going to be fine on the legs, but every now and then you might find some rot starting to settle in, and it's not that much trouble. Think about what it takes to reinforce that, or maybe even replace it with another leg. Boy, that's a small thing to do when you consider what could happen if that leg were to give way. But we haven't checking everything for wasps. We're looking at straps. We check straps every single year. Oftentimes we'll go ahead and put a new strap on anyway. Just what's wrong with that? Having the reinforcement. One of the things that I noticed yesterday, I got a really nice 10-point last year, but in the stand that I was hunting in, I noticed that one of the wells was beginning to kind of come loose on just one part of where you put your feet once you're in the stand. Not a super critical part, but still something. If that's coming loose, where is maybe something else coming loose? So we're not even going to fix it. I mean, stands are inexpensive these days. We're taking it down. We're going to throw it away, and we're going to put a new stand there. And just to be sure, people will say, well, maybe we'll hang in there without another year. Well, you've seen that before, Chris, when people say, let's hang in there another year, and it ends up being a disaster, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. What is it worth to you? It could be you, it could be your family member, it could be a friend. You try to use it one more time, and that's the time something happens. You better off changing them out. I mean, like you said, at the end of the day, it's worth a life, or somebody getting hurt. So it's not worth trying to make something last for forever. Just change them out. Same way with the strap, same way with the stands, any of that stuff. And you said wasp and stuff. That's a lot of times people will try to climb up in a stand, and that's when they fall trying to get in or out, and have stuff like that going on.
Well, look, what's happened as well is with safety ropes and safety straps, the technology has really come a long way. I mean, there's really no reason not to have safety ropes and safety straps and wearing a straight harness every time you go hunt. Why not play it safe? I don't care what your age is. Why not play it safe and just create an expectation around that? Isn't that right?
That's right. And I can think when I grew up, that was the last thing I thought about. All I thought about was getting in a tree, going hunting, and that was the furthest thing from my mind. And when I got this job and started working in the field and seeing how things could happen and what people was climbing in that I used to climb in, and a limb break here or something that nails come out, it's not worth it. It's pretty simple. Wear a safety harness, hook it to the tree, keep it hooked to the tree. I mean, it doesn't take a split second for something to happen, and it's too late once that happens.
Hey, listen, one year I was coming. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying that safety harness is to help you get back in that stand. It's the main thing.
Listen, we had this stand. It was a tripod on an open field. We called it Trump Tower. That's what we called that particular stand. And I was watching some deer, and hunt was about over, and I started climbing down, and I was watching the deer. I got almost all the way down. I mean, literally one step to go. That's it. One step to go. I missed the last step, just the last step. And next thing I know, I'm laying on my back on the ground with my breath knocked out of me. I mean, just missing one step. I mean, and I was shocked with how fast it happened. I mean, it's like 1 second I was on the ladder, the next second I'm on my back. And I'm thinking, goodness gracious, good thing it was only one step. But see, even in that situation, had there been a root knot or something on the ground that I could have fallen on, I mean, all that hit me. That, that was a super close call, and it hurt. It hurt. Even in that situation, it hurt. I can't imagine falling from higher. Anyway, the bottom line is you can never be too safe when it comes to that. Hey, preach to our listeners about unloading your gun, Chris.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing. Even if you think it's unloaded, and like especially say a dovetail, you got over and unders, just open it up or open the breech where somebody that's walking beside you can see it's unloaded, and gives them a better sense of everything. And if you see somebody that doesn't have it open, ask them to open. And you'd be surprised at the times that somebody says it's unloaded and it's really not. And you can never be too safe with it. Keeping that muzzle in the right direction is paramount, no matter what you're doing, either pointed at the ground or pointed straight in the sky. I mean, not walking around and not realizing who it's pointed at, while something's going on.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it's so important. You've heard horror stories. You've seen horror stories. As I've said many times, there are also a bunch of close calls that we don't see the close calls in headlines, but it's shocking how close some of these calls really are. These near disasters that would have changed people's lives forever. We have an expectation at my family hunting camp is that the breech will be open at all times when it's in your truck, when it's in the camp. And don't be offended when someone says your breech is not open, hand me your gun. And then we have people checking behind each other. That's just you create a culture like that. You create a safety culture, and then everybody kind of checks behind each other. Again, some of the worst accidents happen from people who've been doing this for a long, long time, and they just drop their guard. Just forgetting that you put one in the chamber after you shot that deer and forgot to take it out. I mean, excitement sometimes can cause disasters. Major Chris Clark, it's been a pleasure to spend some time with you, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation.